We are the most educated generation of parents in history. We read all the books, we learn about the child's development, about attachment, about the nervous system. We learned all the right things to say to raise emotionally safe kids. We validate feelings, we get down to their level, we repair after we yell, and yet our kids are more anxious, more depressed, and more emotionally fragile than any generation before them. What if the way that we're trying to help them is exactly what's making them weaker? I spent 3 years as a parenting coach teaching everything modern psychology had to offer, and something kept nagging at me. The tools weren't working the way I expected, so I went back further, much further, and what I found in ancient wisdom completely changed how I see my role as a parent. Welcome, I'm Efrat Amira. I'm a mom of 3 boys and a parenting coach. This series is called Raising Leaders, and it's about one essential shift, from protecting our children from the world to preparing them for it. Today we're starting with something that has shifted dramatically in just the last few decades, and the shift happened so quietly that most of us didn't notice. For centuries, across virtually every culture and civilization, children were seen as capable, resilient, and in need of formation. They were expected to contribute, to endure, to grow through difficulty. Ancient wisdom didn't assume that hardship would break a child. It assumed that hardship is exactly what would build one. That understanding held for thousands of years, and then, in a very short window of modern history, it flipped. Children became fragile, difficulty became damage, and parenting became protection. Today I want to show you what we lost in that flip and how we can get it back. Let me give you 2 images. The first is a greenhouse. Beautiful, controlled, perfectly temperature regulated. The plants inside look healthy. But here's what happens when you take a greenhouse plant and put it outside. It wilts. It cannot handle wind, cold, or uneven ground. It was protected so completely that it never developed the ability to survive the real world. The second image is of a mountain guide. He's not removing the rocks from the path. He's not making the mountain smaller. He gives you the tools, the map, the steady leadership, and then he walks beside you as you climb. For the past 3 or 4 decades, modern parenting culture has been operating from the greenhouse model. We've been told that our children are fragile, that stress will break them, that discomfort will damage them, that our job is to create the perfect safe environment for them. And so we brought our children inside. We started monitoring them constantly. Every child has a phone or a watch, so we can always know where they are. We stopped letting them roam in the neighborhood, play unsupervised, get bored, figure things out on their own. We did this out of love, completely out of love. But ancient wisdom, from Stoic philosophy, from Jewish thought, and from great thinkers across centuries, understood something we've forgotten. Children are not fragile. They are anti-fragile. Anti-fragility is a term that means the opposite of fragile. It's not resilience, not just surviving difficulty, but actually growing stronger because of the difficulty. Think about your immune system. It doesn't get stronger by protecting it from all the germs. It gets stronger by encountering them. Think about your muscles. It doesn't grow by resting. It grows by tearing and repairing under resistance. Your child's character works exactly the same way. The ancient assumption was this: children are designed to face challenges, stressors, and discomfort. Stressors and discomfort are not threats to their development. They are the inputs for their development. The modern assumption has it exactly backwards. We've been so afraid that hardship will break our kids that we've been denying them the very experiences that will make them strong. I want to ask you something. Think about a time when you rushed in to fix something for your child that maybe with a little bit more time, they could have figured it out for themselves. We've all done it. I know that I have. Let me know in the comments when it happened to you. So if children are anti-fragile, if they're actually built for challenge, then what does it mean for how we should be thinking about hardship? Because this is where it gets really important and maybe a little bit uncomfortable. The word trauma has taken over our parenting culture, and I want to be careful here. Real trauma is real. I am not minimizing that, but somewhere along the way, we started applying the word for everything. A child wasn't invited to a birthday party, trauma. They lost a sports game, trauma. They got a bad grade, trauma. I yelled once when I was exhausted, trauma. And when everything is trauma, we started living in fear. Fear-based parenting, always one mistake away from permanently damaging our child. This fear is making us worse parents, and ironically, it's creating the fragility we're so afraid of. Here's the definition of resilience I want us to carry. Real resilience is not the absence of difficulty. It is the ability to face difficulty and recover without being overwhelmed. We are training for recovery, not for avoidance. A child who has never experienced disappointment has no practice recovering from disappointment. A child who has never been bored has no practice finding their own inner resources. A child who has never had to wait, to lose, to fail, has no proof that they can survive those things. And so when life delivers those experiences, and it will, they are completely unprepared. Not because life was too hard, but because we made it too easy. Ancient wisdom across traditions shared a common understanding. Struggle is not the enemy of a good life. Struggle is the path to a good life. The mountain guide doesn't spare you from the climb. The guide says, I know this mountain and I know you can do this. Let's go. That is the posture we are aiming for as parents. Not I will protect you from hard things, but I believe you have what it takes to face them, and I will be right here with you. So what does this look like on a Tuesday at 4 p.m. when your 10-year-old is frustrated and crying over homework? It means you sit with them in the discomfort instead of removing the discomfort. You don't do the homework for them. You say, I know this is hard. Hard things are worth doing. What do you want to start with? It means that if they don't get invited to a party, instead of calling the other parent to fix it, you hold space for the sadness. You say, that hurt and you're going to be okay. Let me tell you about a time that I felt left out. You're not abandoning them in their struggle. You are with them as a guide, not as a rescuer. If this is resonating with you, if you're feeling that pull to go deeper than just managing your child's behavior and actually understanding what's happening in their soul, I want to tell you about something I'm opening up. It's a 4-week online workshop called From Challenge to Calling, and it's built on one of the most beautiful ideas in Jewish wisdom, that your child's greatest struggle is not a flaw, it's a force. And when you learn to understand it, really understand it, you can help them transform it into their greatest gift. We start April 13th. It's 4 weeks online. We'll go into the foundational language of Jewish psychology, your child's deepest challenge and why it matters, and practical tools for turning that challenge into their calling. No prior knowledge needed, just a love for your child and an open heart. The link is in the description. You can find it down here. Here's a question that I asked in one of my live workshops, and the answers were really powerful. If you truly trusted that struggle helps your child grow rather than harms them, how would that change the way you respond in your hardest parenting moments? Let me know your answer down in the comments. Now, here's what I want to be clear about. Saying children are anti-fragile does not mean throwing them into the deep end and walking away. The mountain guide still shows up. The mountain guide still cares deeply, which means that we need to talk about how we show up. And that starts with understanding something ancient wisdom knew about the nature of the child itself. That's coming up in the next episode. I want to share something with you that I wish someone had said to me earlier in my parenting journey. There was a period that I was doing everything right by modern standards. I was validating every feeling, removing the obstacles, making sure my kids were comfortable and heard and seen, and I was exhausted, and something felt off. Not in them and me. I felt like I was constantly managing, constantly firefighting, constantly one meltdown away from losing my footing. And then I came across this ancient idea, that my job was never to make the mountain smaller. It was to help my children grow strong enough to to climb it. And something released in me, not because parenting got easier, but because it got clearer. I stopped trying to control what happened around them and started focusing on what I was building inside of them, their capacity, their character, their belief that they could handle hard things. That shift from protection to preparation is not a colder way of parenting. It's actually a deeper way to love, because it says, I believe in you enough to let you struggle. I trust you enough not to rescue you from everything. I see who you are becoming, not just who you are right now. If this resonated, share it with one parent who needs to hear this, and subscribe, because next week in episode 2, we're going to go deeper into what ancient wisdom understood about the nature of the child that most modern parents have completely missed. It's going to reframe how you see your child's most difficult behavior. Here's the question I'll leave you until then. What if your child isn't broken, manipulative, or difficult, but is simply operating from the most natural human state there is? And what if your job isn't to fix that, but to reveal something hidden inside of it? I'll see you in episode 2 next week. And one more thing before you go. Unfortunately, this overprotective, therapeutic approach to parenting has also given our children something we never intended to give them: a victim mindset. We have been raising kids who genuinely believe that they are in the mercy of their circumstances, that what happens to them determines who they are. That is one of the most harmful things we can pass on, and it's worth its own conversation. I have an episode exactly about that. I will link it right here. I'll see you there.